Okay, this book is for David, Jocelyn, and Nicholas. Nicholas isn't in this book, but David and Jocelyn are. But I'm sure that we're going to find a book pretty soon that's going to have Nicholas in it too. Some people will tell you that this book is called Albert and Sarah Jane, but Mommy knows that this book is really called David and Jocelyn. David and Jocelyn were the very best of friends. Their favorite thing to do was curl up in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. But there was one thing I messed up already. David liked even better than that. And that was eating his yummy, scrummy crunchies from his big blue bowl. And there was one thing he liked even better than that. And that was eating Jocelyn's even yummier, scrummier, fishy nibbles. He'd steal one or two from her little red bowl when his friend wasn't looking. They always tasted much better than his own. But one morning, while Jocelyn was out and about, David got a little carried away with his nibbling. When his friend came back from the yard, she was all ready for some breakfast. But when Jocelyn looked to see if there was anything in... I messed up here. But there wasn't a speck of food left in her little red bowl. When Jocelyn looked to see if there was anything in David's big blue bowl, she found there wasn't a speck of food there either. She went to ask David why there wasn't any food to eat, but he was fast asleep in the basket. That's odd, she thought. I'm sure he's fatter than usual, and I'm sure he smells all fishy too. You've been eating my food, you naughty dog, hissed Jocelyn, arching her back. But David just snored and ignored her. Okay, said Jocelyn, I've had enough of this. She turned around and marched straight out of the house. Albert opened one eye and saw Jocelyn. David opened one eye and saw Jocelyn leaving through the pet door. She'll be back, he thought. She always comes back. But Jocelyn didn't come back. She went to live next door instead. By that evening, David was lonely. By the next morning, he was howling at the pet door. Come home, Jocelyn. I miss you. David spotted Sarah Jane through the upstairs window. He smiled at her in a doggy sort of way, but Jocelyn ignored him. So David sneaked out of the house, went next door, sat himself down on the doorstep, and howled. Come home, Jocelyn, he cried. I miss you. Stop howling, you naughty dog, hissed Jocelyn, coming down to see what all the fuss was about. But I'm sad and lonely, said David. I want a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. Well, the food's better over here, and nobody steals it. But it's lonely here, too, without a big, smelly lump of a dog to snuggle up to. Me? Asked David. Yes, you, said Jocelyn. Do you miss me too? asked David. I do, said Jocelyn. Well, I'm sorry, said David. What for? Asked Jocelyn. For gobbling up all of your fishy nibbles, said Albert. Ah, said David. Will you do it again? Asked Jocelyn. I won't, said David. Will you even nibble them? Asked Jocelyn. I won't, said David. Good, said Jocelyn. So she marched back home, and David marched back home behind her. They had a little nibble from their red and blue bowls, and then they curled up together in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire and fell asleep. And that's Mommy's story of David and Jocelyn. Good night. I love you.